All right, shalom and welcome. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to go over the seventh month. The seventh month. How do we get to that? How do we know that? But what we're really going to go over right now is how do we take care of the seventh month? What do we do on the seventh month? How shall we figure out what to do on this seventh month? It's biblical, believe it or not. A lot of times we don't think we understand what the scriptures say to this or what we're supposed to do about this, but it's really kind of easy, simple when we figure out what we're doing. So let's find the Bible verses. So let's find the Bible verses that tell us and talk to us about this, right? Let's find the Bible verses that tell us what this is about and what's going on and what we're supposed to be doing on these dates and times. And when we find these things out, and it makes it pretty easy, pretty simple, right? Then we have what we know to do. We know what we're doing. And then we know what's happening. Technical difficulty. Okay, so now what we are going to do is go over these seventh month Bible verses. It's, again, pretty easy, pretty simple. We can look them up and find out what it says, right? And it's as easy as that. A lot of times I think people make these things too hard. They just put too much into it, or what they do is hear from someone else, right? You hear the way it's supposed to be, you hear the way this is, and you hear the way that is, and you don't really get what's really going on, or you don't really get the whole thing. So on the first day of the seventh month, Tishra, or just the seventh month, right? For a lot of times, all we got to do is figure out seven, count to seven. The same thing for the Sabbath. Count every seventh day is the Sabbath day, which we know today as Saturday. So that's what we do. The calendar year was supposed to start in the month of Passover in the spring, and the Feast of Trumpets comes at the beginning of the seventh month, like all the other feasts of Yahweh. It is full of significance and meaning for us today, as well as prophetic meaning about what is to come. There are three fall festivals which come in a quick succession, right? Once we come to the seventh month, it's the Feast of Trumpets, it's Atonement, and then Sukkot, and then that's pretty much it. But these come really quick, right? You have Atonement, the Tabernacles when Yeshua was born, the 10 days between the Feast of Trumpets and Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, the holiest day of the calendar, as opposed to Passover. Some would say that is, and the other, but they're both very important. And we don't have to worry about it because he says keep them, and we just do them because he said so. They're called the days of awe, where people are encouraged to contemplate their position before Yahweh. And it's a very special time in all of Israel. And it's not just about the land, folks. It's about where and what Yahweh says to do. Behold, I tell you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet. So the Feast of Trumpets is very important. For the trumpet will sound, and the dead will be raised imperishable and shall be changed. For this perishable body must put on imperishable, and this mortal body must put on immortality. Praise Yahweh, right? When the perishable puts the imperishable and the mortal puts on immortality, then shall come to pass the saying that is written, death is swallowed up in victory. O death, where is your victory? O death, where is your sting? The sting of death is sin, and the power of sin is the law. But thanks to Yahweh, who gives us the victory through Yeshua HaMashiach, 1 Corinthians 15, 51 through 57, then we see what's going to happen here. So you see how important the Feast of Trumpets is. When do you think that trumpet may sound? See, a lot of people think that they don't know what's coming, when it is, or any of these things. But I would submit to you that the Feast of Trumpets is exactly when that's going to be totally fulfilled. The Feast of Trumpets, because it says blow a trumpet. That is actually a command. Blow the trumpet on the 7th month, the first day of the month, right? So this is a Feast of Trumpets. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, speak to the people of Israel, saying, in the 7th month, on the first day of the month, you shall observe a day of solemn rest, a memorial proclaimed with the blast of trumpets, a set-apart convocation. You shall not do any ordinary work, and you shall not present a food offering, and you shall present a food offering into Yahweh. Leviticus 23, 23 through 25. So it's real easy on the 7th month. But folks, we have to be on the same calendar, right? We have the full moon calendar, the crescent moon calendar, this calendar, that calendar, Zodiac calendar, all these different calendars. So I would suggest that we cast the lots. We do it live. We do it in front of people. And then we know which calendar we're on. And then we all pretty much know. But we have to realize how to cast lots, what is the meaning of them, where did they come from? We can't just put dice up and say, hey, because that's called a crap shoot, right? That's what they call it. That's what they call it in Vegas. So we don't want to do things the way the world does them. And I really don't think that the Creator would answer us if we went to Vegas and asked him. We might get ourselves in some trouble doing those kind of things, right? But at the very least, he wouldn't probably answer us, especially in the way that we would expect, right? We might get an answer, but it might be in a disastrous type thing. It might be a heat thing. It might be the roof falling in, an earthquake, something like that. Anyway, I digress. You shall not do any ordinary work, and you shall present a food offering unto Yahweh. On the first day of the 7th month, you shall have a set-apart convocation, just like we're doing here. We don't have to make it harder than what it is, right? We do not have to make it harder than what it is. We don't have to make it any more different, right? You see behind me, set apart to Yahweh, set apart to do what? Videos. It's not really made up to talk to mom and dad. It's not made up to talk to brothers and sisters. It's made up to talk to the body. And by brothers and sisters, that's what, So this is what this comes to be. You set this apart to Yahweh. So when you set things apart to Yahweh, you say, look, this is set apart to Yahweh. This is for his message. It's a dedication, right? This ain't for doing anything other than that. That's what all this is for. This ain't said here to make pretty pictures and put people in portraits or to do things like that. All these things are set in place to set apart to Yahweh. Why? Because when people say, oh, that light bulb up there is crooked, or this thing here, or that thing there, you want to be the perfect thing, right? You go out of your way. I do. You go out of your way to make the perfect compelling, and then nothing comes back to me. The blood is off my hands. I did all I could. I put my time, money, effort, work into making things, into putting them together, into putting things together to make the best presentation I can make. Now, usually We make it real pretty and we draw it in and we do this, which is great. Again, that's what you want to do. That's what you want to have. But at the same time, it has to be compelling. It has to be so, but you can't just say, oh, I got to rush home, which I've done plenty of times. If you're talking to somebody and witnessing somebody, which is more important? Well, if you get 100 people to get home to, then that's pretty important. So you have to know the difference, right? We have to know the difference of these dates and times. What I'm trying to apply here is we have to do the things that Yahweh says, even when life gets in the way, even when people get sick, even when we come out of the hospital to the hospital, have treatments, have this, have that, whatever. We have to try to do our very best to do what Yahweh commands us to do, right? And if we don't, then that can be accounted to us as sin. And just like we heard and read earlier, sin is what? The wages of death, right? So we can't be complaining if something starts happening and we're not doing all we can. Because I think life is hard enough. Living this way is hard enough. We don't need any more problems than what's going to be, right? With all that being said, on the first day of the 7th month, you shall have a holy convocation. You shall not do any ordinary work. It is a day for you to blow the trumpets, and you shall offer a burnt offering for a pleasing aroma unto Yahweh. So he always wants us to be with him. This is the thing. Yahweh is calling us home, if you will. He's calling us and saying, come and dine at my table. Come and do it at my time. Trumpets in biblical times were either made from ram's horns, shofars, or silver, and could be blown by the priests and the leaders. They were different sounds for different purposes. If it was a wartime, if it was attack, it was a different sounding horn. When it was these times, especially Feast of Trumpets, this is when they used the silver, the golden, the pretty, beautiful horns, because that's the Feast of Trumpets. At other times, it was time to pack up the camp and to move on. At other times, it was when the traveling Israelites were traveling through and to and from and to leaving and going to and fro in the desert. Time to gather the people and call an assembly, right? You blow the shofar. A lot of places, a lot of times, we blow the shofar, the assembly starting. It means if anybody wants to come and hear, the assembly is starting. Come now and join. A warning of war and danger. War and danger. To praise. To truly praise is not what we've been told about, right? To truly praise the Creator, Yahweh. What he really accepts is us on our face, our blowing of the shofar. He says, what? How do we worship him? In spirit and truth. So again, the way he tells us to declare a procession or a feast. That's what we're doing, right? We're professing the feast, proclaiming a king. The king is coming. When do you think this is going to happen? When do you think the king's going to be coming? Maybe on the Feast of Trumpets, when they blow that final shofar, when we are looking for our king. Assembling the troops for battle, to be used in battle and declare victory. It's also used to what? Run away demons, to proclaim places, to put down your flag, if you will. This is Yahweh's house. This is Yahweh's territory. The enemy does it, right? He puts crosses and steeples and things, and people don't even know that they are under the mark of the beast, if you will. They are under the mark of the Antichrist, right? We got to watch out we say put that too far, because anyway, Elohim's power to raise the dead, 1 Corinthians 15 and 52, 1 Thessalonians 4 and 16, the proclamation of the gospel, Psalms 89 and 15, the bold and faithful preaching of the prophets, Isaiah 58 and 1, Hosea 8 and 1, Job 2 and 1, the latter day judgments, Revelation 8 and 2 and 13. So we just went over a few things of what the trumpets and blowing the shofar and what we're supposed to do and how we're supposed to do it. Why wouldn't we? I mean, I don't understand. People want to go to church and then they want to go bowling. People want to go to church and then they want to go play baseball. People want to go to church and then want to go eat. It's amazing to me that Yahweh himself says, come to me on my feast days and do this. And people, lo and behold, are doing everything but that. And I would submit this is the problem with the calendar. This is the problem with the people. This is the problem with people that want to do things their way, right? If you want to do something your way, you're going to come to your birthday party whenever you get good and ready. I mean, just being honest, right? I'm going to get there and I'm going to get there when some people are late because they love the attention. They're going to be fashionably late into church and this and that and the other because everybody sees them when they get there, right? Of course, everybody sees me coming in at 10:15 and everybody knows we start at 10. And, you know, no, don't get there 15, 20 minutes early for prayer or anything and get your everything going the way it should be. Bring all that junk in from the world. Anyway, we should come and meet Yahweh when he says to come and meet him. The creator, the king, and we're talking about the Messiah. We're talking about all these things, and we want to talk a great game. But if we really believe what we put out of our mouth, then why shouldn't we come and meet the Most High when he says to meet him? To me, it's just it's a no-brainer. It really is. Yahweh says, come and meet me. Now, again, if you're in the hospital, if you're sick, if you have a problem, if you can't do it, but it has to be a legit problem, right? It's kind of like, you know, when you was going to school and why didn't you come to school? Just didn't feel like it. That usually wasn't the right answer. Hey, why didn't you come to work yesterday? Just kind of didn't feel like it. Well, you do that enough and you're kind of going to be looking for another job with your days off. You're going to kind of look for, we all know how life works, or at least we should. So knowing all these things, why would we not come to Yahweh on Yahweh's terms and meet with Yahweh when he says to meet him? So I would suggest that we get the right calendars, we get the right times, and we come to Yahweh on the 7th month, on the first day of the month. We blow the shofar and we do the best we can, the very best. Present the king with the best, and how much more is the king going to give you back? How much more is he going to bless you? How much more is he going to say, oh, that's my child, and they've done what I've asked them to do, so here's your blessing. That's nothing to do with prosperity. It's nothing to do with money. It's blessings, health, all these blessings that you can't buy. Your health is the most valuable. Health and time, I would submit to you, is the most valuable thing you can have on this earth, because it's something you just can't buy. You usually can't buy it. You can't find the right things to extend your life. You can't, you might help, you might eat right, but we all know how that road goes. So anyway, I hope this has helped. I hope, beloved, that we can join together and do the feast days and do the right things. So any questions, comments, let us know. Until next time, may Yahweh bless you. May his countenance shine upon you. May he grant you shalom. Shalom, everybody, and thank you very much for listening and for watching. Until next time, Yahweh's blessings. Shalom. Shalom. Shalom.